Capacity Building, Center for States logo. Children's Bureau logo. Title: Authentic Voices Video Series, Special Needs Family. Title: Supporting Autistic Persons. Interview with Janee, African American female, sister.
So my family, I have my brother Shaquan. Me and him are 11 months apart. My sister Jayda and me are 10 years apart. Having my brother Shaquan be diagnosed with autism at the age of 12, it was difficult, like growing up and being the older sister, but having to also be like another parent when it came to Shaquan and his difficulties.
Interview with Shaquan, African American male, brother.
I'm 24 years old. I have a beautiful family with Janee, Jayda, my mom, and my stepdad. They've been helping with my autism, and without them, I wouldn't have made it this far.
Text. By the time less restrictive options were offered, Shaquan had gone so long without any support, the only decision left was to place him out of state in a residential program where he remained for 2.5 years.
Interview with Jayda, African American female, sister.
So when I was born, my brother was already diagnosed, I'm pretty sure. And him going away for treatment and everything, it was just like normal. Like that was just my life and that was the way I was used to living it. And him having autism was just always a part of him, and that's how I know him.
Interview with D, African American female, mother.
When he was 3 years old, I did take him to get diagnosed because I knew something, just instinctively, I knew that there was something going on. And so I began the journey to actually go see help and support and find out what really was going on with him. And that journey lasted 9 years because people didn't see what we saw. He was managed very well by us. And so, it did take us 9 years for him to finally get a diagnosis. And by that time, he was in middle school. And middle school was very challenging for him.
Center photograph. Janee, Shaquan, and Jayda stand in front of a pool fence when they were younger. Interview with D.
We took him again to see if we could get somebody to look at him, and then finally he got the diagnosis of PDD-NOS.
Statistic. It is estimated that about 1 in 68 children has been identified with autism spectrum disorder, ASD. The prevalence of ASD has increased roughly 29% since 2008 and is almost 5 times more common among boys. Citation: The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, Autism and Developmental Disabilities Monitoring Network, 2012.
Interview with D.
PDD-NOS is a pervasive developmental disorder, and it's actually on the autism spectrum.
Center photograph. Janee, Shaquan, and Jayda seated for a studio portrait when they were younger. Interview with D.
And him having to go away into a residential facility that was rather far away from our family, and he was in a 90-day assessment program for 2.5 years.
Interview with Janee.
Shaquan started to become a little bit more difficult, so we had to make some drastic moves, and that kind of hurt.
Center photograph. Shaquan and Janee hug Jayda in front of a window when they were younger. Interview with Janee.
The system around mental health was, especially in the beginning, extremely difficult just because there wasn't a lot of communication. We were told that Shaquan was going to no longer live with us. And we were like, okay. And then it was Shaquan is gone.
Interview with D.
Early on, the challenges is like you just don't know what you don't know. So meaning in the system, it's, they don't tell you right away. They don't tell you at all, actually, how the process works. So kind of learning on the fly how the process works is a challenge for myself. It's a challenge for most parents. On top of just the trauma and the shame and the guilt that you feel because they make you feel that something that you did was wrong to cause this child to be the way that he is.
Center photograph. Shaquan, Janee, Jayda, and D stand in front of the statue of Abraham Lincoln in the Lincoln Memorial. Interview with D.
The most difficult decision that I had to make To have him go away to residential, there wasn't enough support around that.
Interview with Janee.
I think the most difficult part was, him not being there, like on a day-to-day, not having him around when there was a sporting event, like I was playing basketball, and him not being able to be at my games because he wasn't there.
Center photograph. Janee, Jayda, and Shaquan walk away from camera down a school hallway when they were younger. Interview with Janee.
It wasn't normal, so that was really difficult.
Center photograph. Janee wears a basketball uniform in the school gym while surrounded by teammates. Interview with Janee.
We struggled to try to figure out how this was going to work with very little information.
Interview with Jayda.
And at first, when I was younger, I didn't know how to tell people about it. But as I got older, I knew more about his autism and I knew what it was, so I felt more comfortable with telling people about his story. But for the most part, when I was younger, I didn't tell people that he was away because I wasn't sure how to bring that up.
Interview with D.
No one came to support our family. No one from the system said, this is what it's going to be like, and we want to make sure that you and your daughters have the extra support around that.
Center photograph. Shaquan, Janee, D. Jayda, and Jayda's father, an African-American male, stand together at Jayda's high school graduation. Interview with D.
So they didn't provide that for us, and when he went away, they went away.
Video. Janee, Shaquan, D, and Jayda walk down town center sidewalks smiling and talking. They sit at an outdoor cafe table and have lunch. Interview with D.
I did a lot of research first to build up my own knowledge. I went to and I found different conferences inside our state that dealt with mental health. I put myself in support groups. I got counseling for myself and for my two daughters.
Interview with Janee.
I think a lot of people kind of ignore, the siblings because, we're kids, so like, what do we know? But I really think that if someone was there to talk to about the whole transition and what was going to happen and, how to answer kids in school when they ask you, where's your brother? How was I supposed to answer that question?
Interview with D.
We are a middle-class family. We did have really good jobs. At the time before he left, I was working for the state.
Video. Janee, Shaquan, D, and Jayda sit at an outdoor cafe table eating lunch. They talk and smile.
So I had access to great health care. We had transportation. We had all those things that a lot of families do not have. We were able to have him come home for holidays and for school breaks.
Video. While having lunch at an outdoor cafe table, Janee smiles and laughs. Shaquan and D sit next to each other and smile.
Having said that, it could have still been helpful to have some support from the Child Welfare Agency. We didn't know anything about the system. We didn't know other than what we heard.
Interview with Jayda.
I would like to see in schools having teachers that really understand autism and working with kids like that. I know there's like a lot of special ed, but not all of the people know how to work with people like my brother. And I would like to see everyone in the system have a positive attitude towards people with special needs because sometimes they even act negatively towards him and it's not fair.
Interview with Janee.
Because of Shaquan, I am exactly who I am today. Because of him, I am in the service of, helping individuals with special needs. Because of him, I'm going to school for this.
Center photograph. In a family photograph, D and Jayda's father sit on an outdoor porch. Behind them, Janee, Jayda, and Shaquan stand in front of green trees. The family is wearing white shirts. Interview with Janee.
Because of him and because of our family's struggles, I understand that this is a huge need that needs to be met, and I want to be a part of that. I need to be a part of that.
Interview with Jayda.
I would like people to know that by my brother having autism, it's just a small trait of him. He's so much more of a person than that. It's like having brown eyes or something. You're not going to judge that person based on having brown eyes. So his autism is just as small as that. The rest of him is so much more.
Interview with Shaquan.
I think it's a good thing that people are trying new things. Disabilities, like they're not like giving up.
Center photograph. Black and white photograph of Shaquan and his family walking away from camera. Interview with Shaquan.
They believe that whatever they can do, they believe in they have the ability to do it, even though they have disabilities. My family helped me by having positive confidence, responsibilities, good positive behavior, and believing in myself.
Capacity building, Center for States logo, Children's Bureau logo. Fade to black.